So we're recording, okay. Introduced by the teacher, Seymour Yang, I walk on stage. Hi kids, this is me. My name is Seymour Yang, and I call myself a freelance illustrator. I'll talk more about what that means later on, but I go under the artist name Meerkatsu. Now, hands up here, who likes to draw? Quite a few of you. Me, I definitely like to draw. I've always liked to draw ever since I was a small child. The first thing I can remember is holding a crayon and drawing on the walls and being told off by my mum and dad because I would draw everywhere, on the floor, on the carpets, on the wallpaper, on the curtains, always getting told off. As I got older, that's me by the way, I look very handsome, don't I? Yes, that's right. So as I got older, I knew that drawing had a very powerful influence. And I got lots of friends who would egg me on to draw lots of naughty things. Usually my teachers wearing silly clothes, which was good because I got lots of friends. But the problem with that is I would often get told off by teachers for who caught me with my drawings. So that's me not being very happy there. As I got older, I dreamed of becoming a full-time artist. So every night I would spend hours and hours just drawing any idea I had, constantly drawing, and many times I would just fall asleep on the piece of paper, on my drawing board, like this, because I was just so obsessed with drawing. I really thought that I could make it as an artist. Here's a picture of me as a young man, would you believe? I know I don't look 21 there, but I was 21 there. This is a long time ago, kids. I think 1990, something like that. There's me painting something for my friends. And I kept applying to lots of jobs who wanted illustrators, mainly greetings cards, companies, people making posters, looking for illustrators. But time and time again, I'd always get rejected. That's if they even bothered to reply. Most of the times, they would look at my portfolio and they'd say, not really our kind of thing. We'll call you Mr. Yang, don't call us. So after a while, I kind of gave up hope and I lost all my self-confidence and that snapping pen. I didn't really snap a pencil, but it's just to show you the idea of me kind of giving up the dream of being an artist. After a few years, two amazing things happened to me in my life. The first thing was that I started a new hobby, and that hobby was martial arts. Nothing to do with drawing, it was just something that I wanted to do, really, really fascinated with it, and I got really, really good at it, and I spent many, many years practicing my martial arts. Mainly jiu-jitsu, but also lots of other martial arts. The other remarkable thing that happened to me was that the internet happened. Now I know a lot of you kids will be amazed to think, but there was a time when the internet didn't exist. And I grew up, probably with some of your teachers here, grew up at a time where we didn't have the internet. So the only way that my drawings could be seen was to physically carry my drawings with me, knock on a door and show them my drawings. That was the only way you could get your drawings seen. Other ways would be, obviously, if you got your work published in a magazine or a book, they would see the drawings. But there was no internet, there was no phone that you could check and have a look to see your drawings. But when the internet happened, I started putting my drawings online. And lots of people click like and they send me messages, say, oh, I really like your drawings. And over time, very quickly, I got a bit of a reputation, mainly in the martial arts community, for doing cute cartoon drawings. And eventually I got commissioned by companies to do drawings for them. So this is a cartoon of me holding up one of my first things that I made. And this is the actual product. It's a rash guard which martial arts students wear underneath their uniforms. And the company that I did this for, they sold many, many thousands of them, which was my first proper, I suppose, what we call a commercial successful project. Over time, my reputation as an artist, known as Meerkatsu, grew and grew, and I did lots and lots and lots and lots more drawings and commissions for lots of companies. Until I've got this picture, and it's just a snapshot of all the followers and students, martial arts students, who wear, every single one of them is wearing something that I designed. So all around the world, right now, thousands and thousands of people are wearing something that I designed. All sorts of things. It'd be too long for me to point them out. So I want to move on to talk about what actually is a freelance illustrator and what do they do, which is what I do. Now, very often, as you can imagine, a freelance illustrator spends some time drawing. That's what I do. I have to draw stuff to help the client. But most of the time, instead of drawing, what we're actually doing is waiting around. We're waiting around for people to hire us. That's what the freelance bit means. It means that we don't work for a boss. We wait for clients to call us and tell us, hey, I'd like to hire you. So that's a picture of me. You have no messages, so no one's calling me. But when someone does call you, ping, you look at the message, and then that's when the project begins. So how does a typical assignment work? Well, let's go through the step-by-step sequence of how I create a drawing to help a client with their project. The first thing we do is we talk to the client about their brief. Now, a brief just means a description of what they would like to see you to draw on their product. Sometimes you get good clients who give you really, really excellent briefs, and sometimes you get clients who maybe not quite so good with the way of the ideas that they want. This is a little drawing of, this is something that somebody actually sent to me. It's an email saying, hey dude, they may or may not have said dude, can you draw me something like, I don't know, just something cool. And I would reply going, can you be a bit more specific than that? I don't know, just do something Meerkatsu-y, which in my opinion isn't a very good brief, because we could go on forever and ever. I could show something, he doesn't like it, I show something else, he doesn't, and it goes on. It's just wasting everyone's time. An example of a good client is someone who gives something much more detailed, and I'd like to talk more about this one. In this example, the person wanted a very, very evocative feeling of an underwater creature, probably a mermaid or maybe something else, to decorate their clothing. And they even wanted something that says a Japanese watercolor style, which is something that gives me a really good information to do some research, which is the next part of our project. The next stage is that I would do lots and lots of research based on the conversation I've had with my client. So I know that they wanted mermaid, I know they wanted something underwater, and so I do lots and lots of picture research, thanks you internet. And she also wanted something Japanese influence. So that's where we have to read some books and go to online to look at classic Japanese painters, like this chap, Hokusai, who's a very, very famous Japanese painter from a long time ago. I put all this together on my computer, and that gives me really good inspiration and ideas of what to draw next. So the next stage is, once I have all this research and I look at all the information, I start doing very, very quick pencil sketches. Here's 2 examples of some sketches that I did for the client. Usually I'll draw about 6 or 7 ideas, and I'll just send them my email to the client, and then they pick the one that they like. In this case, they like both. There's a mermaid above the water, and there's a mermaid. So there's a mermaid above the water, there's a mermaid underwater. They like both. So they wanted one on the front, one on the back. So with that information, I'll then draw much better examples. So you can see there's another pencil drawing, this time in blue, and I've done a bit more detail on the mermaids that I've drawn. You can clearly see this one is underwater, and this one is above the water, and I added some flying fish as well. Fish do actually fly, by the way. Some do anyway. So once she's happy with that, I'll draw even better versions. You can see the picture here, can't you guys? I'll keep drawing and drawing and drawing, making a more perfect example of each drawing and getting approval from the client at each stage. Now notice the word layout. Layout just means putting your drawing onto a pattern of what they want. In this case, these are some ladies' leggings, but it could be a box or packaging for a toy or a poster or something. Layout just means that you're using your drawing for a specific design and pattern shape that the client can see how their image is going to be used. So as you can see, everything is in black and white at the moment. I draw everything from pencil to pen in black and white. The final stage is working in colour. And here are the 2 finished artworks that I did. This is the underwater mermaid. This is the above the water mermaid. You can see the Japanese influence here. You can see that I've drawn mermaids. You can see there's an underwater theme, especially with the baby sharks there. So in this case, I have what can be said as fulfilling the brief. That means the brief that the client gave to me, I've done the job. I've done what they've asked for. And here's the finished product. Once I've done the artwork, I give it to the clients and I just sit and wait. And after a few weeks, the client goes to their factory and they say to their factory, here's Seymour's artwork, now go make me my clothes. And these are examples of how they were used. So you see these are the leggings. So from the initial layout, You can see how they were actually put together. They also made some tops as well, sports tops. There's the underwater mermaid and there's the top mermaid. I chose this project because I thought it's a very good example of how I do a particular project from start to finish. Now, everything that I've shown you so far has been drawn what we call digitally, but I also draw old school fashion, literally pencil on paper. This is an example where I did a drawing on a piece of paper, and after a few changes, I spoke to the t-shirt company and they made it into a t-shirt. They printed it on there just based on this pencil drawing. So it is possible. You don't need the most high-tech gadgets. Because if anyone who knows me knows that I do like my gadgets. So yes, here's an example of me on the computer. This is what I do most of my work on a big giant computer. You still use the same skills, that you still have to know how to draw. But this makes my work faster and I'm able to do more complicated work. And here's an example of the finished work that I'm doing on this thing. It's some sort of silly dragon creature. And it's not just clothing that I do. My artwork has appeared in all sorts of different things. Just to give you an example of how versatile you have to be as an illustrator, you'll get people wanting to ask you to do designs for packaging. This is a soapbox, books, this is a medal, mask, mobile phone covers. This one is even a giant shop window, which I did a drawing for. That's me being silly. And not only that, I do lots of work for charity as well. Sometimes I auction my drawings and we try to raise money for good causes. So as an illustrator, part of my job is to try and be as versatile as we can, depending on what the client wants. Now, let's talk about qualifications. What do you need, or what do I need to qualify as an illustrator? Now, can anyone guess how many qualifications in art that I have? Anyone? This is the stage where no kid puts their hand up because it's too embarrassing, right? So, well, would you believe my qualifications in art are none? I don't have any qualifications in art whatsoever. I don't have a GCSE. I definitely don't have A level. I don't have any certificates. I don't have a degree. I have no art qualifications whatsoever. So there's a picture of one of your teachers saying, "You fraud! How dare you? You came to this lecture." But I do have some qualifications. I studied science at school and I went on to study science at university. That's me graduating when I was 21 with my certificate. And that's what I decided to do, but just because I like science and that was my career. So where does the art fit in? Where does the art fit in? Well, the good thing about having a science degree is that I was able to use that to get a job. This is my day job. I work for a company called the Science Photo Library. And that's my job that I go to every day in the office, sit at a desk and work with clients. It's nothing to do with art whatsoever, but it is a photo library. So it's in what we call the creative industry. That's during the day. In the evening, I also have another job. I teach martial arts a couple of times a week. This is an example of me with some students pretending not to notice the camera. And I teach martial arts. So with the day job and martial arts uses up a lot of my time. And then what spare time I have at the weekends and the evenings, I work on my art projects. And this is a picture of me late at night drawing something, again, pretending that I'm not taking a selfie. There we go. So that's what I do. Most freelance artists do have other jobs. And it's not just artists. You can be a writer, musician. Most people who are in the creative arts have other jobs. So that's where the word freelance comes in. It means I'm free to do these separate jobs. I want to talk a bit more about the creative industry as a whole. As an artist, I'm a very, very small part of that industry that we call the creative industry. The creative industry actually is really, really big. Here's a list of just some of the jobs that you can do in the creative industry. Of course, you can be an illustrator and artist, but you can also be a photographer, you can be a director, a designer, fashion designer, you can design gardens, furniture, cakes, sculptures. You can be, maybe you don't have to make something, you can be the person in charge, deciding, coming up with the ideas. So that's where art directors come in, or film directors, or filmmakers, writers, singers, musicians. All of this is part of the creative industry. And it's so big that in the UK alone, it's worth £109 billion a year. So in 2021, the creative industry as a whole was worth this much money, which is massive. I want to finish this talk by just giving you 3 handy bits of advice for aspiring young artists. The first thing I would say is practice all the time. Now, these 3 things were things that I did during lockdown. You remember lockdown, the pandemic lockdown, where you didn't have to go to school, but you had to do work at home. So I didn't have work to do at home. Nobody called me. I didn't have clients. I didn't have any art commissions. Nobody was hiring me. It was a tough time for everyone. So I just got busy. I just did stuff for myself. So here's an example of a charity poster I did. I didn't get paid for it, but it was a great project to do, use up my time. I decided to paint some uniforms. And I also decided to paint some shoes, just because I had some spare time and I wanted to keep practicing and being creative all the time. And if any of you guys want to be an artist, I would say is keep practicing all the time. The second bit of advice, we can move on, is to never stop learning. Here's a picture of me drawing for dum-dums. Remember, I don't have any qualifications in art, so I had to get books on drawing for dum-dums. But the truth is, I learn from a whole variety of sources. I'm self-taught, but also I rely on a lot of other people to help me. You can learn from your teachers, of course. You can go to art school, or you can just learn from your art teacher. I believe you have a very good one in this school. So don't ignore their advice. They're here to help you and help you become a better artist. But there's lots of free stuff online as well, from YouTube, companies like Skillshare, and also TikTok. There are loads of really, really cool videos on TikTok on how to draw certain things. And also study other artists. So as you can see, you might recognize this one from earlier in the slide. This is a picture of a famous picture called The Great Wave by an artist called Hokusai. And I love his work. I'm inspired by his work. I study his work and I try and use bits and pieces of it in my artwork all the time. So that's the second bit of advice. Finally, the third bit of advice that I want to give to you is just enjoy the process. Trying to be an artist of any kind, not just an artist, but a singer, a writer, a sculptor, a furniture maker, or whatever you want to be. If you're a creative person, it takes a long time to get to the place of where you want to be. And every time you have a project, sometimes they can take days and days, if not weeks and months to finish. Part of that has to be very, very enjoyable. You have to just enjoy drawing or making things. That's what makes you an artist. A very famous phrase is, enjoy the journey, not necessarily the ending. So even though I like to show off my finished work, I actually really, really enjoy the creation of the work. And if you enjoy making things, drawing things, putting things together, being creative, then this kind of thing is definitely what you should be a part of and enjoying. So that's me. Thank you very much for my little lecture on becoming a freelance illustrator. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Just put your hands up. Don't be shy. I'm here. I'm not scary. Yes, lady over there. Oh, young girl over there.
Why do you want to be an artist?
Why did I want to be an artist? It's a good question. Basically because I was just good at it. And you know when you're a kid, well, you are kids, but when you're good at something, everyone tells you you're good. So it encourages you to keep doing the thing that you like doing. Like you might be a really good footballer, you might be really, really good at languages or really good at science. If you're getting good results and people are saying that you're really good at it, it encourages you to carry on. So that's what happened to me. And I just thought, well, I really want to be an artist. Oh yes, you again over there.
What do you do when people look down on the arts and not value it as an
Wow, that's very mature for a year 4. So looking down, so haters, let's talk about haters, all right? Now, the good thing about the internet is that it helped me become famous with my artwork, or at least got my artwork seen by lots and lots of people. The bad thing about the internet is that you get people who are trying to troll you, say mean comments, generally under the term of haters. They've just got really nasty things to say just because they can, and they don't really care that they hurt your feelings. One of the things you have to be as an artist is have what we call thick skin. You can't let mean comments get you down and put you off from drawing. I've had lots and lots of mean comments about my artwork. Oh, you're rubbish. It's not good. All you do is animals. Oh, they're really dumb. Non-stop. If that put me off the first time, I wouldn't be standing here. You just got to carry on. What was the main question? Oh, yeah. So I already said that the arts is a massive industry worth £109 billion a year. if you compare that to finance, if you compare that to retail or the tech sector or any other sector, it's just as important. So I would say to anyone who's hating on the arts and the creative science, creative industry, you could say to big industry, man, it's worth $109 billion a year. And they're going to go, whoa, $109 billion. So thank you for your question. Anyone else? Any questions? No? All right. So afterwards, I'm going to do a cartoon drawing workshop with some of you. So I'll see you there. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Us. Oh, it didn't record. I have to do it all again.